Good Midwest morning, everyone. This is Nicole, your mobile bloggers for toctown.com. And today I decided to record my first session for the winter workshop on Motivational Monday. And mind you, this is not going to be, a cheering section and motivation to keep you going. You've already decided to pull the shovel out and get the snow out of the way because your mom and pop shop has to operate today. So, good morning. I am ready and always available for you in order to just give ideas, tips, tools as a special event planner, as well as now I'm a creative artisan administrator, as well as a podcast producer. So, for today's session, I want to go through the social media stations that I'll be using, the studio workshop that I'll be sharing with you all of the live and local sessions in. They're going to be new workshops that I'm going to be posting, even involving new projects for 2019 into 2020. All right, and last but not least, definitely the podcast topic. I'm going to share a couple of my con leche conversations since this is my golden celebration. I am turning 50. I decided, as opposed to just celebrating one day, just use the year to celebrate a lot of the things that I've managed to establish as well as support in toctown.com, which are other small business owners in the corporate community. So, and the last but not least is I definitely want to touch on the come clean, stay clear production policy that I'm instituting as of this year. As you may well know, if you keep up with not just social media but international news, a lot of the countries are currently experiencing a great deal of unrest. As a result, their small business is directly impacted by a lot of the unrest and destabilization that goes on. But without going into specific details, I want to share with you some of the ways that I will be supporting more of the small business owners in the Caribbean. But that's another podcast for the spring and summer season. So stay tuned for that. The first thing I want to talk through with you is my planner presentation. I'm going to be using the Get to Workbook pad as opposed to the spiral bound binder, as well as my disc bound that I took apart. I ordered it unpunched, unbound, so therefore I was able to place it in a Happy Planner cover with a disc bound. I'll definitely leave a link for you so that you can check that video out in case you're wanting to put together your own production calendar together as well as start scheduling your posts. The other thing I'm going to definitely do for this year is use more sunlit backdrop scenarios as opposed to lighting, because a lot of the production costs I want to try and save, for other projects that I want to do in 2020 as I build out the Artisan Admin Retreat Center. So pretty much I want to try and save my dollars, and produce a lot of the material that I want to share with you during sunny, bright days, which means I'm going to have to develop different production strategies, which of course I'll start to share with you starting with this podcast, as well as different spring and summer seasons. I'll share how we work through other challenges that maybe came up during the season or in post production. So I'm looking forward to that. Definitely like, comment, and subscribe if you want to hear more of what I have to share as a small business owner as well as a worship arts leader. Okay, the first thing I want to share with you is you may want to get some pen and paper out because I have a list of different tips and tools that you may or may not be aware of if you're a new content creator or even a producer as well as a publisher. A lot of times we go through different scenarios thinking, oh, we should have known that, which is not necessarily true. Yes, you should know your basic, one, two, threes and know how to read and write in the English language. But pretty much there are a lot of different issues that we work through even after and post production where it's to correct a certain situation or solution that didn't come up when we were filming. So, okay. One is develop a workable routine for when you are the only one managing a project. For me living in Chicago and even in the Midwest, I'm sure if you're on the East or the West Coast, you may experience different things depending upon what the season is. One is delays. Today we actually got almost half a foot of snow in, so I had to stop everything that I was doing for the day. Whatever I pre-scheduled and packed for pretty much had to be pushed off to the wayside, and I had to develop a different strategy to deal with what I wanted to accomplish today. So you will have seasonal delays. So if it's not snow, it might be rain. If it's not rain, it might be ice. There are so many different elements that come into play, and when you're working by yourself, you have to refigure, how you're going to get a deadline met. It may be that you may have to push back on your deadline and have to incur more costs in order to complete the project. But all in all, there is a way through the situation. So the next thing that I want to share with you, and this falls under the same title of working through a workable routine. I want to get out of the, setting unrealistic expectations for when you are working through a production schedule. A lot of times when you see a finished project, sometimes it did take months, even years, in order to work through whatever you're seeing be produced on television, especially and even on the internet now that we have more, content creators. So a lot of times when you're looking at Instagram, you're looking at Pinterest, you're watching through your YouTube videos or even now IGTV, you're thinking, oh, I can produce that, because they must have done blah, blah, blah in order to produce that, which is not necessarily true. So that's why I keep stressing develop a workable routine for yourself. Learn what your planner DNA is all about, your specific makeup and how you do what you do. That way, when you want to hire on other people to work with you through a contract or even bring on another assistant to work through the project, you pretty much know how you work and you understand what frustrates you as well as what would make things better. But that's a whole nother subject for another day and time. The next thing I want to share with you is working through location as well as travel time. Just like I mentioned before, that today we got hit with almost half a foot of snow. That meant that whatever I was going to do outside of the studio had to be canceled, because not only I had to take care of my own place and space, but also the distance in order to reach where I had to travel today would have doubled. It would have turned into from an hour or two to 4 to 5 hours. And I really wasn't willing to give that kind of time up, in developing out my workshop as well as the things I needed to pick up for production props. So, you need to understand, like, especially if you're not by yourself in the travel, if you're even in a group in a small car, each person plays a part in getting ready as well as the time that you leave. I can't tell you how many times we were delayed just on the fact of, just someone wasn't feeling well that day, or, not only the weather, but pretty much people decided not to get along that day and you had to pray, before you hit the road so that, you have at least interior environment of the car is peaceable. So yeah, I've been through a lot within the last 10 years, so I have a lot to share with you. If you're interested, be sure to leave a comment in the section below. Next, I want to touch on is working with volunteers. Understand that not everybody is available to you 24/7. They shouldn't be available to you 24/7 because there is always a place where if you're focused too much on one area of content creating, there are other areas in your life that are going to be lacking. So you're going to have a limited schedule. Another part of bringing on volunteers, even if it's free, quote unquote, you're going to have to compensate them. Either it's by bartering or, pretty much sending them a thank you by feeding them, and giving them beverages. Let's say they help you straighten up your studio or even paint, redecorate, all of that. There's always a cost to something. And one of those costs may be lack of interest. They may not be interested in a certain part of the project, like filing, reorganizing all of your production shots, or even, making sure that all of your seams are correctly aligned. Let's say you're working on a sewing seam, and they may not be interested in working with the fabric that you're working with. So you have to be open to understanding that not everybody is going to be, all involved, all in every area of your project. It's okay. You should be the main focus of what you want to present as far as your creative content is concerned. You should understand the level of quality or the lack of quality that you need to focus on. Every project that's presented doesn't have to be in pristine, but the ones that need to be pristine, you need to give it your all in all, and everybody's on deck with that. Okay. And the last part of working a manageable routine is you will have injury. You will have, like I mentioned, people who are under the weather. And, now with mental health issues surfacing to the top because they were too engrossed in, whether or not it's sales or different aspects of their business in order to promote their small business. A lot of times you need to take a break, whether that's sleeping in that day or taking a season off, where that season you don't produce anything, you focus on your friends and your family, actually getting out and not doing, quote unquote, the work. So those are the 4 topics that I wanted to touch on today: the social media stations, working in the workshop in Studio C, the podcast retreat topics, and last but not least, the planner presentations that I'm going to be doing throughout the month of March from the 18th through the 24th. So I hope you liked what I had to say. Like I said, you can always leave me a comment or any other questions. I do have a part 2 to this podcast coming up on Travel Tuesday, which I talk through a lot of the instruction production prep. I'm Nicole, your mobile bloggist for toctown.com. Until we meet online or face to face, be blessed.